I must give you a breaking news. Ho Hines has stepped down after 8 months, during which he played a key role in shaping US digital asset policy, digital money policy, and co-authored a Senate crypto bill. White House Crypto Council director resigns. It is the headlines in the world famous news agencies. Now let us come to the Gaza issue. It's a long pending issue. People are dying. The Gazan are going to collect the humanitarian aid centers to survive, but Israeli defense forces are bombing on that and killing 1400 people in 1 month. How do you see the world is one-eyed or one-way policy for Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and other policy, different policy for the victim people like Palestinians?
Gaza is not Palestine. I know that your audience will be angry with me. Palestine has a Palestine state. They have a flag. And they are a member of United Nations.
Controlled by PLO.
And Gaza is not a member of any internationally. So when we say free Palestine, the Palestine is already free. There is a country. There is a state, which is recognized by 130 countries. And of course, recently many countries are supposed to recognize Canada, Britain and France, and that's a different issue. But when we are talking about Palestine, we are only talking about Gaza. We are not talking about the Palestine state, whether that country is working well, whether they are taking control.
Sir, would you please make it clear? You said the Gazan are not the Palestine. Palestine is already recognized country.
Palestine state. Gaza has declined to join the Palestine state, and that is one of the reasons the Palestine state, when there was a tripartite and the Camp David, they had decided to have an election. The election was not happening, then they went to Stockholm. When the Stockholm again decided to have an election. Based on that election, in Gaza,
Hamas took over the control.
They became the majority. And Hamas is incidentally, they are Egyptian. The leaders are from Egypt. Of course, many hundreds of Palestinians by this time has joined Hamas. So that's a different issue. But it is something like a spiritual leader from Egypt. He was giving aid, especially education and health care. There was a massive health care. So the interesting is, when the Palestine state appointed the civil service like everything, like the district commissioner, as we say, as other countries have governors, they arrested all of them, and all of them were tortured. Many of them has died in the prison.
But sir, world knows
who were appointed by the Palestine state.
But world knows that Hamas is a proxy by Iran.
No, that became a later issue. Secondary. So you can understand, the officers who were there, the salary was blocked. The government doctors' salary was blocked. That has to be considered. That what the Hamas has done to the Palestinian state officers and recruits, even doctors, like in a hospital. Gaza, of course, Hamas did give employment to the education institutions and medical health care and here. But coming to the issue, that when we are talking about Palestine, we are only talking about Gaza. We are not talking about the Mahmoud Abbas president who is running the Palestine state. Why doesn't Israel only attacks Gaza, and why Gaza is only? Because Gaza had already been, because Hamas has their mandate is to destroy Israel, and of course, why it is Israel, why the Muslims have joined them, because they are Jews. So obviously, it is more become a sectarian issue. Okay, let's talk about Gaza. Whatever happening is in Gaza is definitely condemned. Even today, when you mentioned about the Al Jazeera journalists, they were in one tent, and five of the Al Jazeera journalists, there were two journalists in fact,
cameraman
and a cameraman. Yes, so and other are crews. So they were all in one tent, and which is not very
far away from
He is only from, he is in the main gate of the hospital. I mean that famous hospital that we are talking about. So can you imagine that is definitely a targeted because Al Jazeera is hated by Israel. I mean many countries in the world have banned Al Jazeera. Many countries, even Bangladesh also banned Al Jazeera once. So it is Al Jazeera is a very controversial broadcast network. So it is very difficult, but it is mostly run by foreigners, but not non-Arabs. But look at the editorial policy of Al Jazeera.
Western.
Now, yes, they will be always with the side of, as you said, with the who are have-nots or who are being denied from justice or who have been denied from international attention. So they will be only to, for example, in Rohingya camp. I mean, one of the biggest example of Al Jazeera. Continuously, they have covered the Rohingya refugees. No other television, no other international media has covered.
Why you have the debate on their editorial policies? This is a very strong question from me.
Yes. I may not like Al Jazeera, I may not like BBC, I may not like CNN. Most of the Americans they have strong criticism about CNN.
Yes.
Openly, and they make fun out of in their comedy program about CNN. And even on television serials, you will find talking about CNN because their editorial policy is not liked by the Americans. But Al Jazeera is more a global. CNN is not an international, not like BBC. CNN could not develop their editorial policy like at least like a BBC or Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is more with the people who are affected by the superpowers.
So we must embrace that. We must accept that. We must appreciate that. Al Jazeera is covering the affected areas.
I will not appreciate Al Jazeera's editorial policy because we are possibly diverting to another. I mean, now it is a different issue. During the trial of the war criminals in Bangladesh,
I really enjoyed this part
of
this program.
The Al Jazeera during the trial of the war criminals, they have always been every moment they have a broadcast on the trial of the war criminals. The last sentence was that once the trial starts, there will be a civil war in Bangladesh. And it will be a chaos, and that was a common dialogue. And when I saw the printed of the article, I say this is
the same line has been written over there.
Every time they repeat it.
All right, sir. All right, sir. This could be a debate
now,
one day.
Let's come to the issue of Gaza. Yes. Gaza is definitely no international country is really talking about Gaza. They are talking about deaths, they are talking about massacre, but they are not talking about Gaza. What is the future? And another very important thing that has to be also taken into notice, that when the Israel first attacked after the 7th October incident, they attacked Gaza, the OIC, they immediately had an urgent head of state meeting at Amman in Jordan. And when the meeting was ended, there was no resolution. Okay, fine. They have many differences. Then the second meeting was held in Cairo in Egypt under the President Sisi. No resolution. Why the Arabs are
divided?
Not divided. They don't like to talk about Palestine at all.
From the activities of Pakistani Field Marshal Asif Munir, he has twice visited White House directly with the US President Donald Trump. He has been very promoted internationally in international medias, and he has come back and he has said, if India create a blockade on the Sindh River, on the water flowing, we will use atomic bomb to, wipe out that. Which is very significant comment from a field marshal from a country like Pakistan. This is your last question, and I want to get a very short answer because we are running out of time.
Thank you very much. I mean, yes, the Indus River treaty. If you look into the treaty was done by represented by India by Nehru, and of course another gigantic leader, and Liaquat Ali Khan on the other side in Pakistan. And that was soon after the independence of Pakistan, 1947. And the issue is that you will be surprised that there is one river and they have 22 agreements. So, a lot of people talk about why, how come one river has so many agreements, because that river once goes to India, Punjab, and then comes back to Pakistan, then it goes back to. So, every time it is making a zigzag, so everywhere they have made an agreement. The question is, I was recently reading and somebody had sent me a document from United States who done a research on a think tank, research on this Indus River. What I understand is based on their article, even by Indians and of course by Pakistani, I was reading it yesterday. I have made a conclusion that India will not be able to stop the flow of the water in the Indus River. They cannot, because it is upstream. The Kashmir Valley is a source of fresh water, and that is flowing. So, if you stop, then Kashmir will be underwater, or certain part of India will be underwater.
So, this will be
they
the
will
reason.
not stop.
Yeah.
They will make threats.
Yeah.
India will make threats, and Pakistan will be jumping on that